would be this kind of trade over here. This was really interesting, where notice how the volume was very low down here. So we had a very low volume, and we also had a very low volume over here. So price was moving down, but the volume decreased. Now, when the volume decreases and price moves down, what that means is that the market is less interested in lower prices. There's less market participants that are involved as the market's moving down. So think of it like this. Both the buyers and sellers are thinking, oh, we're not interested in lower prices. I'm not interested in lower prices. And so that is an indication we can read again via the order flow for higher prices. Again, what we saw over here again was very interesting. We saw a bunch of aggressive selling over here. The reason this was aggressive selling is again the red delta. Notice how I said earlier, red delta, aggressive selling, more aggressive sellers than there are aggressive buyers. But what's very interesting is that we had a massive impulse over here. You can see this blue rectangle over here. That's 108, it's a bit small over here, but that's 184 for 2000. So that means we have a very large aggressive buyer sitting over here, which then caused the move higher, and that's how you could have caught this move over here. But essentially what's happening is we have a bunch of liquidity that's forming over here. We have a bunch of liquidity. The liquidity is correspondent to aggressive sellers that are failing to drive price lower below the zone. So we have a key level, and we're understanding aggressive sellers are struggling. This immediately gives us an indication that we could be looking for buys. Now, what confirmed it is when we saw a very large buyer step in over here, 2,000 for 184. So think of that as a ratio. 2,000 for about, let's just say 200 roughly. That is a 10-to-1 ratio. So we had 10 times as many aggressive buyers step in after these aggressive sellers failed. Again, this is order flow being used to its maximum potential. Another example we can go over is this one over here, a selling example. We had a key level up here, 5-minute supply and 5-minute demand, right? We're simply reading the numbers over here. We had 0 for 226, 226 aggressive buyers. Despite that, the zone held over here, and we are simply looking to capitalize off buyer weakness. If lots of buyers are turning up and they're not being rewarded, and price is struggling to break the zone, this tells us that the zone is strong because it is being supported by passive sellers. There's more passive sellers than there are aggressive buyers, and this is the true nature behind the high probability A+ fair value gaps that hold, right? Not the ones that sweep liquidity or break structure. Those things are a byproduct of the order flow, which is what a lot of traders miss out on, right? Another example